Okay guys, let's go ahead and try another video on normal curves. Again, the more you do it guys, the less confusing it gets. And that's key thing. Just keep at it with me. You are going to get a really good feel of how these normal curves work. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. I'm actually going to skip 26 and I'll play with 26 later. But I wanted to go ahead and do 24 and 25 first. So here we have a typical word problem, guys. What's the first thing we're going to do? We're going to do a quick sketch. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we're going to do a quick sketch. We know that Phyllis scored 84, 1 standard deviation above the mean. Okay. We are told the standard deviation is 6. Well, we know the mean, whatever it is in the exact middle of our graph. We are told that the standard deviation is 6. And we are told that Phyllis is right here at 84, 1 standard deviation above the mean. So this is a simple answer here. Do you agree? All I need to do is take 84, take away 6. And I know this mysterious missing mean must be, let's see here, 14 minus 6 is 8, 78, right? 78. And so that was the question. What's the mean score or average on this test? The average score was 78. Phyllis again scored 1 standard deviation or 6 above. So that would be simply 84 minus 6, 78. And we're done. So pause the video if you need to on this one. Okay. Number 25. Again, the first thing you want to do is do a sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. This time they're telling us that the mean is 66. Let's put it right in the middle. 66 inches. This is the average height of the girls. We are told that 95% are between these two values. Now remember the empirical rule. That means if I go 1, 2 standard deviations above, and I go 1, 2 standard deviations below, all of this together is 95%. That's what the empirical rule says, correct? And they just told us that this is 63 and this is 69. What is the standard deviation therefore? Well, again, you'll notice I went 2 each way. So it's a simple kind of math problem here. Between 66 and 69, do you agree there's a 3-inch difference? And if it took 2 intervals, all I need to do is 3 divided by 2, 1.5. I know each of these standard deviation units must be 1.5 inches apiece, right? So the standard deviation is simply 1.5. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, so now let's see if we can't tackle this one, at least part of it. They told us the mean is 40, standard deviation 5. The first thing I'm going to do is get my sketch going. I know the mean is 40, standard deviation 5. That means this interval right here is 45. Another 5 makes 50. Another 5 out here makes 55. Going backwards, I know that right there is 35. Subtract another 5 to there is 30. Finally, over here, it's 25. Now, let's see if we can't answer some of the questions. Let's go to D real quick. 50% of the ixions, or whatever they are under what value? Remember, guys, the mean right here is the middle. So, 50, this is my 50% mark, right? So the answer for the 50% is, we would say, sorry for the little mistake there, is we know it 50% of the Ixians are 40 or under 40 inches tall, because 40 is the mean. That means half of them are shorter, half of them are taller. Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead and do 68%. Well, according to the empirical rule, isn't 68% one standard deviation this way? So we know between 35 and 45, between 35 and 45 is the 68% of Ixians. Okay? Now what? The other numbers are a little bit baffling to me. Let's go ahead and play around with the numbers a little bit. Let's start with B. 97.5% of Ixians are over what value? Okay. So let's think about that. For there to be 97.5 over 97.5, that means we're down here and at the 2.5% mark, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and follow the empirical rule roughly and see if these numbers kind of mesh. So, do you agree right here, one standard deviation each way, 68%? Like my first video, that means each of these are 34% apiece. 68 divided by 2 means each of those intervals, again, are 34% apiece, right? We know if we went 2 again, each way, that's supposed to be 95%. Well, what's 95 divided by 2? 95 divided by 2, or actually, let's do what I did in my first video. Let's actually take 95 minus 68, the middle 68%, right? And we know those outer two intervals have to total up to 27. So that's where I got 13.5% here, like last time. Same thing here as well. Okay. Sorry guys, I got interrupted there, but finishing up that question. Let's see, where was I? So again, we know that the third intervals on each side of the mean, right, have to total up to what was it? Oh, okay. So to figure that out, we know that 3 intervals on each side is 99.7%, right? So let's go ahead and again divide that by 2. And actually, let me do the same thing I did in the previous video. Let's go ahead and take 99.7%. Let's go ahead and subtract 95%, right? So that leaves 4.7% total on each of the two intervals. So we're actually going to take half of 4.7. That would be 2.35% again. So I know that each of the third intervals is 2.35%. And as we also talked about in the last video, we're still missing that 0.3% on the very extremes on the left and right. You know, too high or too low. And that 0.3% means I have a 0.15% on each end as well. Okay? So, question B here says 97.5% of Ixians are over blank inches tall. Okay? Using the empirical rule, guys, we can't get quite exactly the same answer. But I would say, see if this makes sense, I know at 30, right here at 30, I have 95% up to here, plus another basically 2.5%. So actually that does work out to be the correct answer. So do you agree at 30, if I'm missing 2.5% on the left side roughly, just getting close. I know in all the axons are 97.5% of them anyways are over 30 inches tall. Okay, guys, I'm just going to stop the video there. Some of these problems are getting a little too in depth, more than what you need to know. Okay, so, and besides, my video is getting too long. The key thing is, any questions you have, please bring them up to me in classroom. Okay, and I will gladly do my best to answer them for you. Okay, if I was to just summarize what we did in this video, I would say 24 and 25. Make sure you understand the basics of those. 23, problem 23 is not nearly as important. Okay, in IM3, you're not going to get in depth. This problem 23 would be more like an AP stats or a college stats class. Okay, so let's not go there for now, at least. All right, so again, if there's any questions, please ask. I'll see you later.